All throughout history, we have always liked to watch a good fight. That statement is true now, and even truer during the American Civil War, where a whole battle stopped just to watch two men fight it out with their hands. On May 5th, 1864, General Grant was starting his overland campaign, and if all went according to plan, he would be able to crush the Confederacy. Grant had a force of over 120,000 men, an astonishing number compared to Robert E. Lee's 65,000. On the morning of May 5th, 1864, Confederate forces led by Richard Ewell fought the Union Army's 5th Corps, and with that, the Battle of the Wilderness began. The battlefield was called the Wilderness for good reason. There was thick underbrush everywhere, and this caused one of the most horrific events during the American Civil War to happen. With sparks from the gunshots and cannonballs going everywhere, a fire started to spread, hurting and killing a great number of soldiers. During the first day of the battle, in between the centers of the two fighting armies, is where the events that caused me to make this video took place. There was a clearing called Saunders Field. What made it special was that it was one of the only large open areas in the battlefield. Early during the battle, Union troops reached the eastern edge of the field and took position. Also, at around that same time, Confederate troops commanded by our old friend General Ewell reached the western parts of the field and made fortifications, and at 1 p.m., Federal troops were commanded to march across the field. The result for Union forces did not go well. Many were brought down by rifle fire, and the ones who did make it to Confederate fortifications lost in hand-to-hand combat, and they were forced to fall back. A Union soldier, desperate to save his own life from the gun and cannon fire, threw himself into a gully, but the battle continued to rage on. A while later, a Confederate soldier, also fearing death, dove into the gully. The soldiers for a time did not notice each other, but when they did what I can only imagine is an 1800s roast battle, and I can almost guarantee one did the other's mom. After a while of this childish arguing, both men came to the mutual agreement that they would take it outside the gully and settle the argument like gentlemen. They would do this by fighting on the road, and whoever lost the fight would be taken prisoner by the victor. And so, the great fistfight of Saunders Field began. The fight took place in clear view of the other soldiers on both sides, and everyone, wanting to see a good fight, stopped firing their guns and began to watch the soldiers and cheer them on. Some soldiers even ran up to get a better look at the fight. We have no idea how long the fight lasted, but in the words of a Virginia infantryman who was there at the fight, would later go on to say, Johnny soon had the Yank down. When it was clear that the rebel soldier had won, the Union soldier, true to his word, surrendered. They both returned back to the gully, and just like that, the Battle of the Wilderness was back on. Though we have no idea how long the fight lasted, all we know is that for some time, the American Civil War stopped just so they could watch two men fistfight.